I know they're going back and forth.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't think it would matter. If he wants to make some money, Floyd wants to make some money.
It's not about the number. If it was about the number, we could have started up. I would have tell you, I'm not just interested. It makes no sense for me. It's not my what I'm looking at right now.
How many of those shots from Francis can you take? Tyson Fury, if you're talking clean, Tyson Fury only took one. Everything else, Tyson was able to roll with. Big Francis only had to hit him one time. Like, that's a compelling story, in my opinion.
According to Mike Tyson, even though the bout between Jake Paul and Francis Ngannou would not be the most sensible or balanced, it would nonetheless draw a lot of attention and bring in a lot of money. He said it's a thrilling show because people are curious about who will win. According to reports, Tyson thinks that fans from the boxing and mixed martial arts communities would be drawn to this bout because of its unpredictable character.
You're such a big MMA fan. You know, I've been to UFC fights and I see you sitting octagon side. I can't help but wonder if you had gotten into MMA as a young man, as a teenager, instead of boxing, how do you think your career would have went, Mike?
Hey, I had no idea, but I'm really enthused about the MMA, you know, because not thinking, I had no idea that Raphael, who's from a background of MMA, would know so much about boxing. I had no idea, you know, only thing I know about great boxing is the great Ed Joffa, who was a legendary boxer who happened to be Brazilian, but never knowing, not being conscious that he would know that much about boxing.
Do you think you could have learned all the wrestling moves and the takedown defense and could have been a champion in something like the UFC?
I could have done all that stuff. But once someone stepped on my foot, I would have tapped out. My feet are my weak spot.
According to Francis Ngannou, even a battle between him and Jake Paul is a total disregard for his name and heritage. He clarifies that Jake hasn't obtained the privilege of sharing a ring with someone who has experienced the height of warfare, athletics. Additionally, Ngannou says that this type of offer is offensive in addition to demonstrates how far entertainment has strayed from actual combat.
Think about you to fight Jake to replace Javante. I'm like, who's Jake? You know, like, I was so confused, you know, like, I wasn't expecting that at all. And he said, yeah, Jake Paul, you know, he's fighting. And I'm like, no, bro, come on. Don't disrespect me like that. And then they even say like, they even come out after and say, and what if the number are good? He sent out some number. I'm like, it's not about the number. If it was about the number, we could have started up. I would have tell you, I'm not just interested. It makes no sense for me. It's not my
Cha Sonnen is amused and curious about Jake Paul's potential confrontation with Francis Ngannou. He claims that this fight would be interesting because it would demonstrate Jake's true durability rather than because it would be competitive. Sonnen says that Ngannou dropped Tyson Fury, one of the world's toughest heavyweight champions, with just one clean shot. Jake might be in grave danger if Fury, who is heavier than Jake and has years of heavyweight boxing experience, could hardly withstand Ngannou's might. Sonnen continues, Jake's self-assurance and desire to take on guys much above his it's entertaining. However, dealing with someone like Francis is a completely different matter. He makes it clear that Jake lacks Tyson Fury's stature, strength, and chin. Furthermore, it's difficult to see Jake taking even one punch if Fury could only handle one.
This tells this story that Nikista's offering him the fight, but he's just not hearing it that way. Like, all right, you said you need help, and you called me, and I'm happy to help you, but you know what is it that I can do? So when Francis finally realizes it, he not only says no, he says he was offended. He said, Jake, you want me to fight Jake? Jake who? He said, Jake Paul. He said, that makes no sense. That's the last thing I would want to do right now. It's the last thing that I'm looking for. And, all right. Now that is a good and comical story. And I think that Jake Paul deserves a lot of credit for that. I would have really liked if that match would have gotten booked. I mean, I think that would just solve so many problems from a storyline perspective. and there's this story going on out there that and it has to do with courage. Now, how you ever question a combat athlete's courage, I think, is hard. How you ever question a boxer's courage, right? Where you've only got two things you can do, and they're both involve bludgeoning. You can't even grab a hold of the guy or try to squeeze him. You can only bludgeon and be bludgeoned back. I think you're got an uphill battle to question somebody. But they have been very effective in doing just that to Jake. Hey, you started with this NBA guy, and then even those MMA guys, they're not boxers. And then when you got around to the boxers, but they weren't current boxers. Then when you get around to the current boxers, they're not big enough boxers. And I just loved it. When I heard that Francis Ngannou might be going against Jake, I loved it. I mean, what's that going to look like? How many of those shots from Francis can you take? Tyson Fury, if you're talking clean, Tyson Fury only took one. Everything else, Tyson was able to roll with. Big Francis only had to hit him one time. That's like...
The cancellation of the fight between Jake Paul and Gervonta Davis had an impact on more than just the two competitors, according to boxing commentator and former champion Tim Bradley. Bradley claims that the abrupt termination of the agreement resulted in financial losses for promoters, broadcasters, event planners, and marketing partners. It was anticipated that the battle will bring in millions from sponsorships and pay-per-view sales. According to Bradley, networks and advertisers were compelled to back off because of Tank's legal troubles and recurring problems, fearing harm to their brand names. Everyone concerned has already invested in advertising logistics, manufacturing planning, and those expenditures are now lost. According to Bradley, this circumstance highlights how brittle the boxing industry's business side can be. Everyone involved in the event pays a price when a fighter's reputation is damaged.
Something unique. It would be something incredible. It's the same reason that I would be intrigued by a Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua fight, although I would never advise Jake Paul to take a Anthony Joshua fight. I wouldn't advise him to take a Francis Ngannou fight either, because as much as Anthony is far better, which we saw when they actually fought, Joshua slept Francis Ngannou quicker than me after 2 melatonin. I mean, it was quick, fast, in a hurry, completely dominant. But we also saw Francis Ngannou go toe-to-toe with the heavyweight champion of the world at that time. Yes, he was out of shape. We understand that. But Tyson Fury on that night got the shock of his life when Francis Ngannou not only went toe-to-toe, but put him down and danced on him. To this day, I think that fight could have gone Francis's way. Point being, there are levels to this shit. Not just in boxing, but in combat in general. And the size difference Francis would have over Jake would be incredible, but it would have been a great event. And a lot of people would have tuned in. Francis, though, is saying that's not happening.
How can they go from Gervonta Davis to Francis Ngannou? Gervonta Davis is a fantastic boxer, but and is a one-shot knockout artist. But come on, the weight different and everything, it makes no sense.
It's a good point. I mean, obviously, Francis is right about the weight difference, but it's a good point in general for what do you do next? Jake has sparred guys like Shakur Stevenson, Ray Ford, Montana Love to try to prepare for Tank Davis. And even if you book this fight on December 12th or December 19th, that's still a completely different fight than you were going into. Completely different matchup, size-wise, skill-wise, the things that you're going to need to even try to compete if it's someone like a Francis Ngannou or even an Andre Ward or whoever else, not just the fight styles different.
Former UFC heavyweight champion Daniel Cormier calls out Francis Ngannou while discussing Jake Paul's ridiculousness. He contends that boxing and mixed martial arts, MMA, are two entirely distinct sports that call for different abilities, timing, and mental strategies. Jake has never faced a professional boxer with actual experience, as Cormier notes. MMA fighters, celebrities, and retired athletes have made up the majority of his opponents. Cormier questions Jake's motives, implying that publicity is more important than real competition. He goes on to say that Jake doesn't realize how difficult it is to battle a heavyweight who can punch through gloves. Ngannou's power is legendary in mixed martial arts, but it becomes even more concentrated in boxing. Cormier cautions that Jake may have a very short night if he goes into the ring with Francis without knowing the distinction between boxing defense and MMA striking.
Tank, let's get on Tank real quick. You gotta be the dumbest dude, in the history of boxing, bro. $40 million, dog, down the drain. You gotta be the dumbest dude I've ever seen in the history of boxing, bro. Seriously. I'm like, $40 million, bro. Wealth. Literally wealth, bro. Going down the drain. I don't understand it. I can't make the... I don't understand it. But I'll tell you this. You know, MVP promotions, whatever the hell y'all call it, most valuable promotions, shit, more like rookie promotions. Yeah, more like rookie promotions. You didn't know what you were dealing with. You had no clue. This has always been down Tank's alley, man. Now, let me just say one thing. You know, you innocent until proven guilty. Ain't no charges been pending on Tank at all. You know, but I'm just saying, this has always came up within the last few fights of Tank's career. Yeah, it has. And MVP, more like RP, rookie promotions. Yeah, y'all should have had a backup plan. You should have had a backup fighter. Yup. You live and you learn. Oh, absolutely. You live and you learn. You should have had a plan B. Just in case this man, Tank Davis, don't show up. Yeah. That's what you should have done. Now you're looking like idiots. You know, I heard through the grapevine the joint wasn't even selling. Yeah, because everybody's tired of your bull crap, Jake Paul. Yeah, everybody's tired of that. Well, nobody